Pasta spoons come in many shapes and sizes, but they all share one unique feature. In every one you'll ever encounter, there's a hole in the middle of the spoon, and no matter the size or shape of the spoon, this hole will always be the same size. Most people assume that this is simply for allowing water to drain out, but it's safe to say that most people also drain their pasta before serving it, so this doesn't make much sense. Actually, the hole has a very specific use that not many seem to know about. It's for measuring the perfect amount of dry pasta. Fill that hole with uncooked spaghetti, and you'll end up with just the right amount of cooked pasta for a single serving. Now you won't take up unnecessary fridge space with leftovers every time you want to make spaghetti. The design of aluminum foil and plastic wrap boxes hasn't changed at all over the years, and it might seem like it could use an update. At some point, every one of us has had to deal with a roll that is particularly stubborn, only to have it come flying out of the box when we pull harder. There has to be a better way, and there is, already built into the existing design of the box. You may or may not have noticed that every aluminum foil or plastic wrap box has small perforated tabs on each end. You probably never gave them much thought if you did, but their purpose is obvious once you know what it is. If you break the perforation and push them in so that they're inside the cardboard tube, they'll hold the tube in place when dispensing product. They're actually called end locks. No more flying aluminum foil or ruined rolls of plastic wrap. Another design that stayed the same for as long as anyone can remember is the ballpoint pen. The familiar caps have been chewed on, fidgeted with, and used in games at elementary schools around the world, seemingly forever. But even though they've been a part of your life since you were a child, you probably never gave much thought to their most important feature. The hole in the tip of the cap serves a very specific purpose. Most people seem to think that it's to keep the ink from drying out, but ballpoint pens don't have this problem. It's part of their design. But pens are often lying around the house where small children can get hold of them. If the cap were to be swallowed, it could easily block the airway and lead to suffocation. The hole in the tip is to ensure that this doesn't happen. The trusty padlock is a complex device on the inside, but simple on the outside. All the casing needs to do is protect the lock's workings by withstanding punishment, from any attempts to break it open, and also from cold or wet weather. Every padlock you've ever seen has a tiny hole in the bottom, usually next to where the key goes. It stands to reason that this could be for oiling the lock to keep it working properly, and many people use it for that purpose, but that's not its main function. While they're designed to keep moisture out, no padlock can keep out all of it, especially when exposed to heavy rains. The hole is to allow moisture to drain out and keep the lock from being permanently damaged. iPhone owners may have noticed another tiny mystery hole on the back of their device, in between the primary camera lens and the flash. This tiny hole has nothing to do with the camera, however. Just like the iPhone features front and back cameras, it also has primary and secondary microphones. The tiny hole is a secondary microphone, and it serves more than one useful purpose. For one, it helps Siri to understand you better by capturing fine details of your voice, assisting with quirks of speech like accents. It also allows for clear sound to be captured when the phone is in any position, and allows for stereo sound in the videos you shoot. But perhaps most importantly, the fine detail captured by the secondary microphone, much of which is background noise, is filtered out when you're on a call, so the person on the other end will hear you loud and clear, and not whatever's going on around you. Denim jeans have been a fashion fixture for well over 100 years. Nearly 500 million pairs are sold every year, and that's just in the United States, where they've become an icon of American culture. Most pairs of jeans have the familiar tiny extra pocket sewn into the right front pocket. You may have found a number of handy uses for this pocket, from spare change to keys to an important phone number. It makes a great utility pocket for small things that are easy to lose track of, but this was not its original purpose. Jeans have been around for so long that when they were first introduced, pocket watches were still very common. In fact, the wristwatch hadn't even been invented yet. Pocket watches were often among an individual's most expensive and prized possessions, so the extra pocket was there to make sure that the watch didn't come into contact with anything else inside the pocket that might chip or scratch it. The trusty swing stapler is, well, a staple of any office. Its design is simplicity itself, and staples hold documents together so well that a separate device was invented just to remove them. But nearly every stapler has a hidden feature that makes this unnecessary. You may have noticed that the metal plate that folds the staple inward is attached by an exposed screw. The plate could just as easily be glued into place, but it's actually meant to be removed and turned around. If you turn the plate upside down and screw it back into place, the staple will still secure the documents but will bend gently outward instead of inward. This is very convenient for securing documents together that will have to be separated later. Rather than using a staple remover or endure the hassle of trying to pry the staples open, the documents can simply be pulled apart. If you've ever poured a bottle of wine, you've probably wondered why the bottom of the bottle had a large indentation. All wine and champagne bottles have this, and it seems like a way to fill up the bottle less and give the consumer less for their money. However, this is not the case at all. The indentation was started when wine bottles were blown by hand, and it was to help make sure that the bottle would sit upright and not have any sharp edges. Since wine bottles are also typically sealed for a very long time, the indentation helps to evenly distribute air pressure inside the bottle and keeps the beverage inside a consistent quality. This function is even more important in champagne bottles, as champagne is carbonated and the bottles have to withstand an even greater amount of pressure. It's also interesting to note that this indentation actually has a name, left over from the days when glassblowers first brought it into use. It's called a punt. Place an aluminum soda can in somebody's hand and they'll instantly be able to tell you what it is and open it while blindfolded. Every one of us has probably enjoyed more drinks from an aluminum can than we would ever possibly be able to guess, and yet few are aware that they have a special feature so simple and convenient that it's simply amazing that more people haven't figured it out for themselves. As humble as it might seem, the soda can's tab is an ingenious design with a dual purpose. While the inside of the can is sterile, the outsides can become covered in all manner of grime and germs during the transportation process. For this reason, many people are leery about drinking straight out of the can without washing it first. But if you have a straw, you won't have to worry about that. Simply pop the can open, turn the tab around so that the hole in the tab is over the can's opening, and insert the straw into the hole. The tab will keep the straw securely in place, and you won't have to worry about where your can of soda might have been. You've probably never given much thought to the headrests in your car. In fact, to call them headrests is questionable, given that most of them are positioned too far back on the seat to comfortably rest your head on, and the driver's head requires free range of movement anyway. If they're not actually for resting your head on, it seems like they could be done away with altogether. But your headrests disguise an important feature that could one day save your life. Every car's headrest is removable, and the two metal prongs that slide into the seat and hold it in place aren't just used for adjusting its height. They're sturdy enough to withstand punishment and strong enough to punch holes in automotive safety glass. If you were to become trapped in the car and were unable to roll down a window, you can firmly hold the cushioned headrest and use the metal prongs to smash out a window and get to safety.